net direct tax collections rose by 17.63% year-on-year to 16.61 lakh crore in the financial year 22-23 compared to 14.12 lakh crore in the preceding fiscal year. What's more, the direct tax mop-up last fiscal, which remember includes taxes from individuals and corporations, crossed both the budget estimates of 14.2 lakh crore as well as the revised estimates of 16.50 lakh crore. The net direct tax collections have exceeded the budget estimates by almost 17% and revised estimates by 0.7%. So good news there. Meanwhile, the provisional gross collection of direct taxes before adjusting for refunds for 22-23 stood at 19.68 lakh crore, an increase of 20% year on year. This means that refunds worth 3 lakh crore were issued in financial year 23. Now, of the 16.61 lakh crore mop-up corporate tax collection for financial year 23 stands at 10 lakh crore, and personal income tax collection, including securities transaction tax, the STT, is at 9.60 lakh crore. Karthik, what do you make of these numbers?
See, again, these numbers take me one step forward in trying to reason out why the World Bank thinks consumption in India is ever going to fall down. I mean, look at the numbers, both direct as well as indirect. Indirect, of course, in terms of GST, the hike has not been that significant, but yet a hike. So, indirect tax collection, GST was at 13.3 lakh crore, whereas it has now gone up, and that was in the revised estimate. And the actuals, of course, the filed actuals right now are amounting to about 13.85 crores, which is also an estimate. But that beyond, look at corporate tax. You'll see a great 17% jump there. These are companies who are filing corporate tax. These are companies which are filing this corporate tax on the basis of their profitability. And these are companies which are obviously making profits because of the fact that they are selling more. Now, whether these happen to be B2B, B2C is immaterial. The fact is that these companies are making profits. And if they're making profits, there is obviously consumption. And if there is consumption, there are people who are buying the products that are being manufactured. And on the income tax, the individual income tax front as well, you're looking at what? A massive 24% hike. So you've got collections go up to 9.6 lakh crore versus a revised estimate of 7.7. So that's a significant 24% jump. So how will consumption not happen in an environment like this? I really am interested in finding an answer to.
Okay. I'm not sure if Abhishek is with us at this point in time. Okay, but you know, interesting point there that our tax collections have crossed both the revised estimates and the original estimates.
That's
both
right.
have been surpassed.
That's
augurs well for the government and the country at large.
Augurs well. See, I think the fundamental motive that the government had to widen the tax base is finally showing its effects now. So we are in a comfortable position as any projections that are made on the revenue side for the government are made solely on account of taxation, because that is prima facie the only source of revenue for the government, right? Okay. So when you talk about any sort of fiscal prudence, you talk about any fiscal deficit, it is revenue minus expenditure. So if revenue through direct as well as indirect taxes is mopping up, it augurs well for the fiscal account deficit, which hopefully someday could turn into a surplus as well.
Abhishek is joining us at this point in time. Abhishek, thanks very much for taking time. What do you make of the fact that our collections have surpassed the budget estimates and the revised estimates? Is it a surprise or was it something you were expecting?
No, I think the economy is doing well. That's the good news. And I think, secondly, people have realized that paying taxes in advance and on time is much important. And if you see, the tax collections, and if you see the advanced tax collections in the fourth quarter, the numbers are very encouraging. So I think a lot of people, in fact, when I spoke to a lot of, individuals and big clients, they were making payments even on 31st of March. So I think they want to save on the additional brunt of interest on these taxes. And hence, a lot of taxes have been complied and have been paid in the last month, which is very encouraging. So, and I think on the other side, to be very honest, the economy is bouncing back. The incomes are growing up. And unfortunately, there is 37% surcharge on the income group of more than 5 crores. And I think people in that category have ended up paying a lot of high taxes, but which will be, there will be some respite in the next financial year because that surcharge has gone down from 37% to 25%. But yes, overall, encouraging figures. The budget estimates and the revenue estimates at the beginning and the middle of the year, which were estimated, the collection figures have all surpassed. We must also consider that even the indirect tax collections on the GST front has increased. So overall, tax buoyancy has improved, and I think good to cheer.
Make of the fact that the difference between the corporate tax payers as well as in terms of volume as well as the individual taxpayers is next to nil. Corporate tax collection stood at 10.01 lakh crores versus 9.6 lakh crores for individual tax collections.
Not even a lakh
there's
crore difference there.
hardly any difference. So individuals driving the economy, government's revenue in as much force and as much measure as corporate India.
So I think, to answer that, yes, the gap is less, but I think to me it sounds great, because what is happening is that even if you see a corporate structure, and even if the individual salary in that corporate structure will increase, the individuals will end up paying more income tax, and the corporate will end up paying lesser of taxes, because they would claim the deductions of the incomes which are generated of the individuals there. So from that perspective, the balance is good. What also happens is that when the individuals are paying more taxes, which means that they have more purchasing power, which means that more circulation of money will happen, more spending will happen. So from that economics perspective, I think it is good. But yes, overall, this difference is shrinking.
But Abhishek, on the contrary, how do you read, let's say, what the government announced, what the finance minister announced in the budget, that up to a salary of 7 lakh in the new tax regime, there's going to be no tax to be filed. Now, the fact that we are talking about a fairly young population in India, we are talking about a lot of first jobbers getting added to the workforce every year. And willy-nilly, there would be perhaps, the first drawn salary across a lot of cities, a lot of sectors in India would be well within the 7 lakh INR threshold. So in light of that, do you see people opting for the new tax regime? Will the government see a little lesser mop-up in individual tax collections end of the year?
No, I don't see that for sure. The direct tax collections will increase certainly in the year ahead also. We know for a fact that this under the new tax scheme, the threshold is now 7 lakh rupees, and I think that is very fair, because I think you would make this class of people with more purchasing power, so they would end up spending more. And every spending which they will do, there will be GST on that. So the government will get revenues from somewhere or the other. So I think 7 lakh is a very, very pragmatic approach. Also, if you see the surcharge on income of more than 5 crores has also decreased in the next financial year from 37% to 25%. So
Right.
while, the lower income group category, the higher threshold, and also on the high income group, some relaxation. But believe me or not, this would not disrupt the collections as far as this government is concerned. There'll be better compliances. I think there'll be more income generated. The economy is doing well today. So I think from that perspective, the compliances have improved. So people are ready to pay more taxes. People, want to keep their books and accounts clean. So I think the mindset is changing. And when this mindset is changing, I think the country is going in the right direction. So I don't see there is any reason to worry on the income tax collections from that perspective.
Okay, Abhishek, before I let you go, quickly, up until the last month, we were short of 50,000 crore to meet the budget estimates. We now know that we've exceeded. Seems like there was a spike, as you were alluding to earlier, in the last few days and weeks. How do you read this?
So I think, frankly, last 3 weeks of March, the collections have been very good. A lot of people did compliance from 10th of March till 15th of March. A lot of my clients who reached out to me said that, they do not want to have additional brunt of this interest, and they want to comply by making, payments of advance taxes. In fact, there were a lot of people who were doing calculation towards the end of the March also, so that most of the tax is paid in the existing financial year, I mean the financial year which has gone. So a lot of taxes were also paid on 30th of March and 31st of March. In fact, if you see the government data portal, a high amount of tax was even complied and paid on 31st of March. Because if you do so, you end up saving some interest on the taxes paid on 31st of March. So I think people were, doing their calculations very honestly and diligently so as to pragmatically reduce the brunt of interest on this taxes, which in any case becomes then payable at a later stage at the time of filing of the return.
So Abhishek, widening the tax net, more number of taxpayers, added overall tax collection high, augurs well for fiscal deficit? Likely to turn into a surplus anytime?
So no, I think it would not turn into a surplus that easily. See, we must understand that even if the revenue collection is high, the government will not stop, these projects which are there. The fiscal deficit will certainly improve because the revenue is increasing. But at the same time, the government has a lot of ambitious investments and a lot of infrastructure projects to complete in 2023, 2024. So I think this enhanced revenue collection will help finance minister to basically pump in money for those projects, give some incentives for closure of these projects and so on and so forth. So I think fiscal deficit, she would want to keep a pragmatic balance between the expenditure and the revenue. But I think fiscal deficit will improve, but I don't see it will become surplus.